Good morning from Fairfax, Virginia, outside Washington, D.C. I'm Bernard Markowitz. I'm the Managing Director of Decision Analysis Partners, and I welcome you to our fifth webinar of 2013 on automation for middle-income countries. Kasha, Director of our Postal practice, he will be in this presentation. Decision Analysis Partners. We are an independent consulting firm active in logistics, supply chain, telecommunications, and the postal service. Yes, we have delivered over 60 projects in all areas of the postal industry, from operational improvements to delivery sequencing to market and financial analysis, tender development, and labor planning and analysis. We have 8 free postal webinars for this year. We want you to join us every month. Our will be on delivery management and will take place on July 18th at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. I hope you're able to join us. It's about 45 to 50 minutes. If you would ask a question during the webinar, please use the chat window, which can access through that menu at the top of your screen. Questions at the end of the presentation and answer them together. We're available both the recording of this webinar and the slides that were used in the presentation. We will send each an email with links to the docs shortly after the webinar. You'll be free to forward them to friends and colleagues. On to the presentation. The presentation today is that automation for low-income countries goes beyond a cost equation and a saving measure. Automation for low-income countries is really a transform the postal service necessity, basically provide mandatory universal service obligation to opportunity to enter into new markets and develop the postal market to a level by raising revenues and improving the postal chances of market. Will be divided into 4 parts. First, I will make a short presentation about the benefits of automation for postal orders, and then detail some of the automation trends for mail and parcels, strategy for automation, and present our automation maturity model for automation. Give you some slides on revenue leakage protection and retail automation. The benefits of automation go well beyond the reduction in labor costs, and we are a gateway to new services. In this slide, we present some of these automation benefits. As everybody understands, reduction in labor, primarily in the processing and also in the delivery sectors. If delivery sequencing is opted for. So, in terms of operational productivity and efficiency, going to forecast operations items which will lead to better labor planning and assignment of labor to tasks, as well as a better utilization of vehicles and machines, the ability to predict what the mail will be over the world. Automation can also improve your protection and the ability to detect fraud across the network. Increase service quality by reducing the number of delivery errors by providing more consistent service across the network. And finally, automation is a gateway to new services. It will facilitate the deployment of time-dependent services. It will enable advertisers to develop direct or ad mail, as it's also known, to tax discounts, build these mailers automatically. As we have experienced in the United States, the ability to identify each piece of mail individually and result you need to provide personalized services, targeted pieces of mail. And go into detail about the automation of form and parcels in terms of provide on this slide a list of automated technology. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but you can see from sorting, from buffer systems, from manual bin sorters, single letter sequences. We'll answer any questions that may have on those and so forth, down to track systems, terminals for delivery and missile services, and parcel terminals, and about these in the presentation. A quick the trend in postal automation as they pertain to middle-income countries. Major elements that makes automation accessible to middle-income countries is the improved address. The ability addresses become a lot better, to 85–90% for even handwritten addresses, and cheaper. Cheaper is competition in the field, and the for improved address recognition on a more, so you are not wedded to a particular machine. The recognition module can be selected independently. Small are now of provide machines such as this one by Solistic machine that are and easier to implement and install and maintain. It makes it more accessible to postal operators. Like this one, handle both letters and flags. And is that private generators of significant mail volumes will invest in automation such as this one, and to take advantage of incentives that are provided by the operators, such as in the United States, where can significant discounts for prepaid mail, provide mail that complies with automation requirements. Try to progress and become cheaper with the availability of electronics and barcode readers and so forth. Also smarter with the use of intelligent mail code. Every single individual piece of mail can be tracked, and AI services can be provided of these mail pieces. And tracing can now be integrated across the value chain where the postal operators can transmit this data to e-commerce seller or to other within the value chain and get responses, even on converting or rerouting the piece of mail, the parcel. Experiment, as you can see here, are two types, one from the group and one from Pitney Bowes. And these kiosks are integrated into the operation and the retail operation of each postal operator in a second way. Parcels are displayed down below here on the right, and one from InPost and one from Kiva. into the distribution system by having syndications with the system in terms of where the parcels end up in the terminal and when a box is available to receive another parcel. The trend that's of interest is service diversification. Folks in Europe getting into new services, includes management, which is really a parcel service going the other direction, traffic, which really requires the exchange of information, computer, and logistics integration, apps that provide logistics services in addition to the transport parcels primarily. Here we have of Postal into 7 distinct parts. I'll show you in a couple of slides with what these 7 components are: address system, distribution, tracking and monitoring, operations planning, enterprise integration, management, and platform. The Address Foundation program, although I will comment on later on, it is necessary to have a very sophisticated address system, but the address system is necessary in order to get into the more advanced part of automation. There are approaches, including use of geographical coordinates within a particular, or distances within a particular street, such as in Costa Rica, to provide ongoing improvement whatever database is being built. The European Union and the World Bank are all engaged in looking at address standards. Addresses can change across border, computer to computer, in order to validate addresses at the origin and not at the destination when it's too late to get it back because of a deliverable mail. Still has a number of issues with it. It's not always easy. Multiple languages, and even multiple scripts. The address system has to deal with very different varying hand address scripts. And just important address business to involve the business community into helping improve the addresses and make sure that there's a standard way of writing addresses that can be easily recognized. Distribution, it's important to have a in the network strategy as part of your automation strategy. And later, we believe that an incremental automation initiative is easy and probably better for middle-income countries for them to get into transformation. To that, I believe that a modular network approach is ideal, both geographically and in terms of functionality. The question lies, will your network be? And we will review some of the options later in the presentation as well. Again, approach is a good idea. It's a real plus in terms of revenue protection and quality management, both from an operation standpoint, in order to learn about what's in the operation and improving the operation of your network, and from a customer point of view. Tracking and monitoring should be summarized in a form of scoreboard so that it is accessible to operators management. Important element Automate visibility to the operation in terms of counts and flows, origin destination data, performance against standards. Operationally enables under automation to develop meet capacity management. What capacity that is required to process a certain flow at a certain time. And that turns right sides both labor and equipment. Right. Operations planning scenario automation provides flexibility and adaptability, which in turn enables operators to reduce cost gaining service performance. Automation can be integrated into the company ERP and support for process integration and for management. Delivery can be improved through automation and used to map delivery routes or create new delivery routes, and can be performed in a service-driven way, meaning that delivered at the right time, based service delivery standard. So three mail can be delivered third day and one mail on the first day. In order services and cannibalize one another. And first element is what we call platform access. And the paper about information and here we have a depiction of the platform as an oval here, and it's operational and information infrastructure on which operators, for the most part, or other postal operators come on using these ramps and provide or additional services such as e-commerce, digital services, and so forth, and in this case. Enables other enterprises to come and exchange information and in turn additional volume onto the infrastructure. A work automation strategy. Should work be automated or the network or both? Important questions that need to be part of the automation program. Parcel growing market. And then parcels may be easier and simpler because of the lesser volume, but may provide more savings in the long run. Parcel network and the mill network are parallel, and the facilities are jointly located. But when enter into an automation program, the reason why the processing network could not be split from the mail processing network, and the facilities may be located at different places. The delivery network, which benefits from velocity, is for both the parcel and mail system. And finally, of introducing new service, this has to be it's when one develops an automation strategy, when logistics, advertising mail, or hybrid mail are all services that can be facilitated by the automation, and so should be taken into account when the automation program is designed. In general, the future proof is the approach to program, but not the first step should be identified. The steps into the future should also be sketched out so that the interim is consistent and effective. So, we believe is the right way to go. The first is by easy wins, high density areas, and high density flows, and then in a simple way, with the left of sort, configuration, and destination period. Increase the other network over time. Finally, the address management program is essential to the development and the advancement of the network automation strategy. It's highly likely that the network will be more centralized under the network as opposed to a manual network. Here we see 1, 2, 3 have the initial gateway through the airport. You can see manual centers look, and by the way, there's likelihood of congestion and high traffic, and in finding additional space in these areas. Network is more likely to be a ways away from the major cities. And spoke system, bringing as much as possible into the automated center, maintaining some small manual sortation centers to feed routes in the respective cities. It works because we are trading labor for distance. Where labor and increase somewhat the distance here to center in order to take advantage of this option. This plan be highway accessible and available to private mailers who bring automated mail directly to this location. Flexibility and adaptability is essential, as we said, in order to reduce cost and improve service quality. The private sector is part of, or should be an important part of your automation program. Generate mail volumes and incentives for the operators to bring automated mail and to bring to the plant will reduce the risk in your automation program. On our automation maturity model, the maturity enables to assess the current post-automation readiness of an organization. We don't chart develop a technical operational transformation path based on the result of this maturity model. We have 4 distinct categories in which a number of evaluated for each store operator. The first, address infrastructure. At country's address system, what the data looks like, what the postal code and how deep it goes, whether the readability issues with respect to the address, to the languages that are used, and there's an address change management process in place. Market category, we look at the volumes and origin destination pairs of mail and the parcel flow. We look at characteristics of mails and parcels, whether they're machinable, whether they can be read and easy access through automated equipment. Advertising market, to see there is a likely possibility that advertisers will want to go into direct marketing, leveraging what automation can bring them in order to advertise. Mail centers are the mail service providers in the country and the region. And finally, looking at the regulatory environment, enables or claims the information country on the network. The second postal network, here we're looking at service requirements, in general, the operational tempo, meaning are the posters looking at us and following service requirements, or are they taking a more casual approach to managing their network? The topology, cost factors, transport versus work. And what is keeping track of what's going on the network? Is there a culture of performance on this network? Finally, looking at the extent to which planning is performed in order to plan and maintain the postal network. That category is organizational readiness. Is there a commitment to a nation going, positive financial posture, or available for automation? There's a culture of training and management and of change management, which both require in order to implement a successful nation program. Evaluating each of these four categories are mature levels. The levels are detailed here from 0 to 5. These goals initiating to enabling, optimizing, and pioneering. And you can what the descriptions are. These indicate how the operator performs in certain areas, and then in terms of creating a path or roadmap, then we reflect what the number should be instead of what it may be, and then create a transformation path between one level and the other. And now, on to Claire, who will cover leakage and automation.
Thank you. Technology can be an effective instrument against leakage of revenue and increased needs by postal operators to better manage their finances. So I'm going to take a very quick overview of the technologies that are in place to fight leakage. But important before proceeding to establish a framework so to understand what are the sources of leakage and how to combat them. Leakage definition is simply the unpayment of postal dues. There are four types of leakages typically recognized. One is unpaid mail, or also called bypass, underpayment, cutting, and finally billing errors and bad debt. Each is a specific and a specific technology solution. What's important, however, is to understand the context of risk. And the context of risk is a function of three dimensions: mail prepared and inducted into the workflow, a single piece to both, what payment channels, payer, with right stamps, etc. Then the physical characteristics of the mail itself, letter bundles, packets, parcels. These integrations will imply a particular degree of risk, and in the figure here, the severity of risk goes towards the right. And for each situation of risk, they are a variation on the types of leakages, and thus a different technology solution that put in place. It's important to note that leakage is not about technology solutions, it's also about organizational alignment, relationship with customers, a lot of training and skills development. But in order to proceed with a strategy to combat leakage, what's necessary is to begin by putting the emphasis on the areas where the payback will be higher. As you can see on this slide, bulk mail represents typically 65% of the total volume of a postal organization, and mailers represent about 80% of revenue and or well, thus, focusing in this area would be one that generates the highest payback. On the other hand, permit-based evidencing of mail is prone to leakage as new forms of payment, namely online payment of purchasing of stamps. Today, not very common. They are on the increase, and single piece is quite on the increase with the development of e-commerce with reverse logistics flows that one would have to put so a serious consideration to be. So what are the technologies that are today available? First of all, evidencing at the source, making sure that the evidencing is as leak-free as possible through the element of digital meters, the use of anti-fraud security measures in the stamps themselves. But also once past the evidencing at the moment of acceptance and during sorting verification. First of all, advanced notification through e-documentation. Then the use of sorters. Benny explained that today's small are affordable and quite efficient in middle-income countries. So these sorters provide positive confirmation of the mail and positive counting of the mail pieces to help combat leakage. And finally, the use of technology to dimension in particular with online weighing and online sizing and dimensioning either at the post office as reflected in this image, but also during the parcel sorting. Increasingly available technology efficient and do not affect throughput and are quite cost effective. And during processing, the lower end sorters which we mentioned, like the holistic machine, provide positive identification of the mail and thus help keep track of the volumes inducted versus the volumes reported. For single-piece mail, and facing cancelers can offer on-the-fly weighing of either parcels or letters, and image technology can capture the image of mail pieces that are underpaid or unpaid, and thus provide a mechanism by which the leakage can be combated. And finally, back-end systems that will a reconciliation between volumes that are advanced and notified often through documentation and those that are collected through sorting in order to ensure consistency. Moving types of technologies that are emerging as affordable and as effective for middle-income countries. However, so far is deal more with the network processing and the processing within the network. To be covering now are the two extremities of the network. First of all, on the retail end and at the last mile. On retail or the acceptance end, customers today are exposed to a host of technologies to interact with organizations and in particular with retailers or e-tailers. As you can see in this chart, mobile phones are a high frequency of use, increasing a little bit less, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the retail branches themselves. On the other hand, the risk of experience, the branches continue to offer the highest level of quality experience and interaction between a retailer and a consumer, and that applies to the postal organization just as it applies to other retailers. Thus, the emphasis on developing retail solutions that are consumer-friendly, convenient, and in particular improve customer service and the image of an organization. The branch, as you can see, can help handle complex transactions, offer opportunities for one-to-one marketing, special post-age, and more and complex product offerings, in particular financial services. So at the core of retail automation is the point of sale. The system will, first of all, allow the automation of a multiplicity of branch functions. But more importantly, it's versatile enough that it can allow us to integrate a host of new products and services, like government services, fund services, and any third-party services that could be offered the Post. We spoke about the Post being a platform for access by private partners. These private partners may collaborate at the retail end, and thus a point-of-sale system can help integrate their solutions. Well, the system important, in particular, it provides accountability to leakage and thus helps revenue. But more importantly, also, is in this world where we're increasingly mobile and in a social organization that is constantly looking at reducing its fixed cost by reducing its assets, retail branch assets. Those are increasingly choosing to franchise their operations, their retail operations, or to go with mobile solutions. A sales system can thus integrate across multiple channels, retail, kiosks, as we spoke about earlier, we're going to look at in a minute, and also mobile solutions. It gives a consistent view of the business to the customer. It gives a consistent view of the customer to the Post, but what it also does, it promotes a single brand across channels, especially in an increasingly franchised network. So, it's an important element of retail automation in a point-of-sale system. Today, matured, they're cost-effective, they're not very expensive, and they be deployed beyond to extend beyond the retail network and provide reach to consumers. The funds available through kiosks on mobile from purchasing stamps, printed on demand, thus reducing the need for Post to inventory large amounts of cash equivalents in stamps. Of course, the kiosk will provide a capability to weigh the items and provide to the user the ability to access all tariffs by class of service. It will post stamps. It allows mailing for domestic and or international destinations, and it gives a total accounting of transactions that can be integrated, as we will see in a minute, into a total retail solution. For benefits of cost effectiveness, as I indicated earlier, convenience and use for the consumer, and then savings for the posters. No stamp is required. In order to benefit from these technologies, an integration of all these capabilities into a unified retail environment is another technology automation direction that Post should and do undertake. Today, you will find in the market a variety of retail software suites that are portable, that are scalable, and that can grow as the number of funds and applications that are integrated increases. What is the advantage of these? They enable, first of all, an integration across the channels, the branches, the web, the kiosk. They also give a unified view of the customer across products and services. A customer coming at for transaction at point of sale, but then going into a kiosk or conducting postal financial services can be analyzed through business intelligence capability with a better understanding of their needs, understanding of the traffic at particular branches, and so as to cater accordingly. It integrates the movement of cash, stamps, and the supply of inventory into a unified solution. And more importantly, again, as we proceed into a franchised environment, it streams the processes between the different networks of branches, whether franchised or owned by the Post. It helps also customize the services depending on the type of branch. So that a micro branch will have a lower or fewer functions than a large urban center branch. So then before proceeding into last mile automation, this retail software suite, it brings the point of sale solution and the kiosks and technologies into a unified whole. Going to the other end of the spectrum, last mile automation, and about a few technologies that are now in the market and affordable and definitely being considered by middle-income countries. Clearly, parcels terminals are in news a lot if you're following postal news. They have been hit by the growth of e-commerce. Seeing in Europe in particular, a rapid expansion and deployment of these. Integer PL itself has an aggressive target of 15,000 to be by 2016 in Europe only, but they're present in other markets. And seeing also in parallel to this, and we'll talk about it in a minute also, is the fact that carriers want to increasingly give choice to the customer. And choice of delivery, delivering on the terms of the consumer or the recipient, is increasingly becoming a strategy and an expectation from the customer. UPS My Choice, for example, will give total control for the consumer as to the terms of the delivery. So does the DH bucket. What is now the level of convenience of anywhere, anytime shopping or e-commerce? This is met by the convenience of anywhere, anytime pickup at reduced cost. The cost of delivery into these terminals is considerably lower to the cost of delivering into every single address. Another delivery to be done at their destination address and on their terms, thus the emergence of technology such as at home that tends to be so UPS My Choice, FedEx Manager, and DHL Cockpit or My DHL are examples of these e-fulfillment, last mile e-fulfillment support solutions, which are again the end user to determine when to deliver. What are the benefits? First of all, there are an increase in number of successful first-time delivery because of the accurate determination of the recipient's availability and address, which results in an increase in productivity, a substantial reduction in cost and labor, and consumer satisfaction. The delivery is done on the terms of the consumer. So I'd like to close and repeat what Benny was saying at the opening of this presentation by emphasizing that technology automation today is helping transform the post from a necessity to opportunity to the smart implementation and leveraging of these solutions. Thank you, Tom. The presentation is available online, and we'll send you links to that, and we're available to answer any of your questions at the time if you want.